Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you guys so much for those of you that tune in. Whether you're watching it today, which is Thanksgiving, or watching on another day, it means the world to me that people actually tune into these. These are just me talking to the phone, talking about stuff that I find interesting in the sports world. So thank you so much, and I can never express my appreciation enough. I really didn't think anybody would watch this. So, what little audience I do have right now that continues to grow, I'm very very thankful for it. So as you don't know, this channel I talk about the stuff that kind of interests me in sports. That's basically my criteria. What have I seen that interests me, and what do I feel I need that I want to kind of get my thoughts out about? And it's usually the WNBA. I started this channel about the time, or I started doing these videos. Towards the end of the WNBA season, when Caitlin Clark had absolutely taken everything by storm, and by that point, really kind of saw some of the inner workings of the WNBA that I'd never seen before, that I just assumed was bad, and it turns out was even worse. And it just keeps getting worse. They're trying to start another, uh, uh, basically, what we normally call a spring league. It's really a winter league, an off-season league, Unrivaled, and that just keeps getting worse. And it just seems like all the interesting stuff, or the stuff that I feel like I need to talk about in a good way, in a bad way, or in a who cares way, comes from the WNBA. And but the WNBA, it's been over for quite a few months now, a couple months now. So surely this week here, last week in November, surely nothing's happened this week in the WNBA that's you know worth talking about, as far as people doing weird stuff, crazy stuff, irresponsible stuff, or just making a fool out of themselves, right? Right? Oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. Really? The season's been over for months. How's this happening? Ugh. So yeah, we have a couple people in the news this week. We'll start off with one of our old favorites, Angel Reese. Angel and Caitlin. Angel and Caitlin. Who's better? Is it Caitlin or is it Angel? And as we all know, the whole thing was a farce. So she was on X this week, formerly Twitter. I'm telling you, these WNBA players need to realize that Twitter's rebrand to X means that it means like a getaway X. Stay off of this. You're only gonna make yourself look stupid. Dude named Adam uh, brought up the fact that she's can't make her own putbacks, and can't make a layup, and it's been historically bad. I mean, whether she's a rookie or not, had a historically bad season. Um, you know, just converting a layup. She got a lot of rebounds, but she couldn't put it back in. Uh, and she responded to him. She fired back at him. She clapped back at him, and her season's been over since September, when she left the season with a wrist injury. And some 3 months later, 2 months later, 3 months later, whatever it is, she's still throwing up bricks. She tried to clap back at this guy and clanked another shot. Her shot at this guy clanked badly off the rim, and just another typical Angel Reese shot. So she texts back at him saying, "Hey, I was drafted seventh in my class." Now, first of all, this is point number one. Um, if it's Caitlin and Angel, Caitlin's the number one pick, and Angel's the one they said was going to be rookie of the year, or going to be the best rookie, the one who's going to have the most impact. Why was she drafted seventh? Why was she not even the number one pick on her own team? The Chicago Sky had the third and the seventh pick. With the third pick, they did not select Angel. Whoever had the second pick, can't even remember now. They didn't pick Angel. Chicago Sky with their third pick, they picked Camila Cardosa from South Carolina, University of South Carolina. It wasn't until their second pick, which was the seventh overall pick. I don't know what finagling was done to get there. Do you, Lily? Lily? Do you know how that was done? Yeah, she doesn't know either. Um, so with all that finagling, they took her at the seventh pick, which to me made sense. Camila Cardoso is going to be a much better in the middle player. Somebody can actually run some offense through. You never want to run an offense through somebody like her or Angel. But of course, with the built-in rivalry supposedly from college of Angel and Caitlyn, they tried to make her out the best they could be. They let her stat pad. They kept her in games that were out of reach. She'd get her precious double doubles, get more rebounds, which she'd already gotten a bunch of from her own missed shots. She was really historically bad at the rim, which I'll get to here in a second. But why was she the seventh overall pick? I mean, and why did Chicago not pick her third? I mean, they got the third pick. I mean, you got to feel like the Chicago Bulls in 1984, right? Okay, we don't have the first pick. We can't get Hakeem Olajuwon, who's in my opinion a top 5 player ever. Everybody knew he was gonna be good. This is back when big men were everything era, and look like they were gonna have to get Sam Bowie, but Portland picked Sam Bowie at second. So guess who's third? Michael Jordan. But they didn't. They picked Camila Cardoso, which I think is going to turn out to be a good thing if this coach uses them properly. So first of all, she's bragging about this to this guy. And first of all, why this guy's under her skin? That's a good question. Maybe because he can actually afford his rent. He didn't go and buy something that was far above his means. He's probably got a little more extra spending money in his pocket. He doesn't have to go put a bunch of raunchy photos online, but that's neither here nor there. That's her choice. And if she wants to post all those raunchy photos while complaining about being sexualized, well, that's her choice too. Just don't expect us to not point that out and have fun with it. Ain't that right, Lily? See? Yep, Lily's going to tell us. So, yep, here she comes to tell us. So it's going to be the Me and Lily show. So that's first of all. And then she brags about having a 39% shooting percentage. All right, if you're a guard and your shooting percentage is 39%, that's not great. That's like when the majority of your shots are at point blank range, like Angels are, and she still misses over 60% of them. That's not good. Why are you bragging about that? That's crazy. Like I said, there's been videos showing just how historically bad she is at it, and like I said, she's a tall player for the WNBA. She's got to be 6'4". I think she's listed at 6'3", but I mean she towers over a lot of other people, and so I mean the fact that she has such issues with that, and she had they had the 1 month Olympic break, which she was not on the national team, much like Caitlin Clark, even though Angel didn't deserve to, and Caitlin did. Angel was not on the Olympic team, so she had a month off, just like Caitlin had a month off. Caitlin comes back better. Angel comes back even worse as far as finishing. Her layups were even worse. Her attempts to run the offense through her were worse. And she's sitting here bragging about that, saying, this is the worst version of me you'll ever see. Well, is it? Because I would think after that Olympic break, when you had a month to rest up and also, get in the lab and work on what was clearly an issue, which is getting to the rim or finishing at the rim. Well, she get to the rim good. She's getting put the ball in the bucket right there, and she's bragging about that. And then she's like, "That's why I is a all-star or was a all-star." Now, give her. I'll give her a little bit of grace. She did graduate from an SEC school. People like Aaliyah Boston, who also graduated from SEC school, who's very well spoken, is the outlier, not the norm. And plus, Angel spent her first 2 years at a Big Ten school. So, yeah, we don't need to be expecting any kind of, magic, any kind of good grammar there. We'll say that. And this comes from me, who does not have good grammar, and even I'm laughing at that. So, she just tries to take, and then she takes a personal swipe at him, which is always a good thing to do as a famous celebrity towards somebody who's just basically talking shit online. She's like, "I'm doing this while you're laid up at home with your dog." Well, who doesn't want to be laid up at home with a dog? I mean, dogs are great to hang out with. Sit there, watch TV, crack open a beer, and with your dog. I mean, today in a few hours, I'm going over to my parents' house, and then we're going to go to my aunt's house for Thanksgiving dinner, and then I'm going to go back to my parents' house afterwards, where I get to hang out with our dog, Maddie. She lives with them. I always think of her as my dog, and I'm looking forward to that. Everybody loves a dog. And she's saying that like it's an insult? You gotta be kidding me. That just shows her level of maturity, and, again, you can, and this is on her. She's wanted to make Caitlin Clark the person that she's always compared to. Caitlin's maturity level is just leaps and bounds above anything. But then again, when you have mentors in your life like Cheryl Swoops for Angel Reese, yeah, you're probably not going to do too much there as far as sounding good. His funny thing was Adam responded, and once again he dunked on her. It was pretty funny. He's just like, "Hey, I'm just pointing it out. I didn't say nothing wrong. I hope you progress and all that." He didn't backtrack. He said, "I hope you continue to progress." But and then he said, "It's kind of you coming after my dog is kind of weird. He doesn't play basketball." So even he pointed out what everybody else was saying. So just another bad day in the professional life of Angel Reese. Man, I just you know when you think she's kind of reached her low point, she's going to finally learn to okay, be quiet. I'm going to learn how to make layups, keep a low profile, and go out there and show everybody. She doesn't. But she's going to be in the Unrivaled League, so we'll get to see her and what she's done there, which will have all the best NBA play or WNBA players, right? Right? Oh wait, no. First and foremost, I don't have Caitlin Clark, and like I said, I've talked about Unrivaled a little bit. You know, it's a 3-on-3 league. They opened up 36 spots. I guess they have six person teams. I guess they're gonna break up the minutes somehow. I don't know. I don't know. The whole thing doesn't really has never appealed to me in the least little bit. Like I said, basically, Caitlin Clark being there or not being there was that league's only tickets to success. It's been very clumsily announced, and just very bizarre in the way they've gone about their presentation of their product. And but they do have people in there, and one of them was Kelsey Plum. Kelsey Plum's been in the league for a while. She's the one who Caitlin Clark broke the women's record for scoring while she was in Iowa. She's on the Las Vegas Aces on that ridiculously stacked team with Asia Wilson and Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray. I mean, it's just she's the one who was sitting next to Asia while I believe it was in the Final Four last year or earlier this year. While Asia said, "You understand that you're only here because you're white. You understand your privilege. That's the only reason you're here." Which again, why Kelsey Plum just sat there and took that, I'll never know. I'd have had to have gone on the court first game and just said, "Look, I'm just going to stand over here on the other side of the court while y'all on offense, and I'm going to let my privilege help you." See just how much this white privilege stuff actually helps. So have fun using the aura of my white privilege to play 4-on-5. So how she didn't do that, I've lost a lot of respect for her for not clapping back at her for that. I would have to, all that work and all that stuff that Kelsey Plum's put into it to let Asia just try to write it off to her being white is pretty pathetic, I gotta say. But Kelsey Plum recently, I think she was one of the very first people that was announced to be in this Unrivaled League. The best in the world, the best 36 players, even though they don't have 36 yet, they've only managed to recruit 34. And so they still got to find two people. Well, now they got to find three people because Kelsey Plum announced she's backing out. Which, on the surface, doesn't sound like a big deal. And she released a pretty generic release about it, just saying, "Yeah, I'm taking this time for myself and to work on myself in the off season." I mean, they only have a 7-month off season, so I guess they got to make the most out of every second of that. And you know, and she just said didn't really give a didn't give a big explanation. It was very generic, very. I wish them the best. I'm gonna have fun watching them, and you could tell she just doesn't want to do it. And I don't blame her. I mean, that's cool. If you don't want to do it, just say you don't want to do it. So the question is this a big deal? Is this a bad deal? Is this unprofessional? To me, this goes back to the Caitlin Clark effect. The fact that Caitlin Clark is not there makes this a big deal. If Caitlin Clark were there, we're going to be a part of this league, everything else wouldn't matter. Kelsey Plum saying, "Yeah, I don't want to do this anymore," barely a blip on the radar. But the problem is without Caitlin Clark there, you got to worry about the old heads, the original, activist audience tuning in, the people who actually know who Kelsey Plum really is, people who knew her, from the moment she got in the league, knew her from her days as the former scoring leader in all of the NCAA. She's without Caitlyn there, she's an integral part of the league, and I think she'd have to realize that. And I don't know what's going on, and if something's going on that legitimately is keeping her out of that, I mean, like I said, you got to do what you got to do, but you got to say something more than just a generic response like I need to work on myself. We're working on mental health now. That's a lot of thing. That's something that's come to the forefront. As somebody that struggled with mental health issues myself, I get it. Sometimes you have to take a moment away from the spotlight, and she just was under a spotlight this season she's never seen before in her life because of Caitlin Clark. And I think she's starting to realize without Caitlin Clark there, she was going to have to take a lot more of the burden than she has in trying to get Unrivaled to work, because they're not going to have the NBA there to bail them out from their losses. They have a laundry list of investors, but these investors are not going to be nearly as patient as the NBA. They're not going to be willing to dole out millions a year. They're not going to be willing to take in a loss for more than a year at most, if that. So I think the pressure got to her. That's just what it comes down to me. Either the pressure got to her, she realized this league's a joke or something like that, or she felt like the league was a joke. It's looking like a joke. I don't want to pass judgment just yet, but I mean, it's looking bad. It's looking really, really bad at this point. And now that you have one of your top stars, obviously there's Caitlin Clark, and there's a huge chasm, and there's everybody else. And in that, towards the top of the everybody else list, and probably the top 10 of the everybody else list is Kelsey Plum. And for her to back out, so she's going to be one of probably the top 10 draws in that league. For her to back out, that's a big deal. For her to commit and then back out, that's a big deal. It says a lot. And the biggest thing, I think it reinforces a lot of stereotypes about, women's basketball and women's organized basketball. The WNBA has always been looked at as a league that just cannot organize itself and just has to rely on these millions and millions of dollars a year from the NBA to cover their losses. And it's pretty funny because Kelsey Plum's one who was, saying, hey, we're not asking for the same amount of money that, LeBron's making or that KD's making or anything like that. Which is a good thing because the WNBA's never drawn that money in their life, even without, even if you were to take away the NBA portion of it, or if you're to add all that to it, I don't think they've ever made that much. But she says she wants an equal share of the revenue coming in. Well, the revenue coming in is a lot less than what it costs to run the league. So she wants an equal stake in that. Then she needs to pay money to play. She needs to be happy she's getting a salary at all. And like I said, had she been an Unrivaled, she would have got even more money that, quite honestly, was money that the investors may as well have just set on fire. They've got to be thinking about that. I mean, they're not going to show any panic outwardly because, God forbid they come across as misogynist. But, I know it's starting to change finally, but, you still don't want to look bad. You still want to, show some pride in your investment. And, but it's just, it's bad. It's bad. But, so yeah, if you're Kelsey Plum, you're looking pretty bad right now. And like I said, again, you're just reinforcing the stereotypes that, women who choose to be basketball players are not the most organized people in the world. And like I said, it's just like there's Caitlin Clark and a huge chasm and everybody else, when it comes to professionalism, when it comes to the ability to draw, to make decisions, to present yourself in a professional manner, or in a professional manner, and also while being likable and relatable. There's just such a chasm there, and Kelsey Plum backing out just kind of reinforces that to me. And again, she has to realize, with them opting out of their CBA, a lot of, with the NBA having, some serious issues of their own with ratings, and, that does not appear to have any end in sight as the old players that are still marketable, the ones who played against Kobe and Tim Duncan and people like that, as they retire out, and there's no link to that, to the, the last, really good days of the NBA, the WNBA is going to become a lot less of a priority. And if this Unrivaled league flounders, this is her money she's kind of throwing away. She has to realize that. And, that's on her. I'm not going to browbeat her. I'm not trying to browbeat her for that, but it just kind of reinforces the fact that these women basketball players just don't get it. Now, the men basketball players on the professional side don't get it either. And I can talk about that forever. I'm not trying to throw that, but there was a generation of them that got it. And whereas the WNBA era of women's basketball, there's just there's no history of them getting it. So it's just a horrible look for Unrivaled. It's a horrible look for women's basketball in general. I mean, nobody wins from this. She doesn't win. Unrivaled doesn't win. The investors don't win. TNT doesn't win. But the only person that wins again is Caitlin Clark, who's once again showing how far ahead of the curve she is, and just how much they need her, and just again, how much she's worth, and she's gonna be stuck in this. She's gonna have to be stuck in this league that just does not feature her the way they should. It doesn't allow her to be a part of a truly professional league, like one that Loki would be a part of. Isn't that right, Loki? But yeah, you just got to. I mean, there's the concept of just jump right over me. This concept of consequences just seems to be so foreign, I guess, to these professional women's basketball players. There's anything you do, there's consequences to, as Loki's trying to explain to the world right now. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Her backing out has consequences, not just for her, not just for Unrivaled, but for everybody else too. I I hate calling out of work. I really do. Now, why do I hate calling out of work? Do I care that much about the corporation that I work for? Hell no. they can go bankrupt for all I care. But first of all, I need this organization to stay not bankrupt. Even though if they did on a personal level, I wouldn't care. But for me personally, it would hurt because I need the job. I mean, I could try to find a job elsewhere, but I got 7 years, invested into this job. But also, I got the people I work with. I hate putting them in a bind. Because anytime I call out, that's a plot of time that I was scheduled to work that has to get covered. And I understand it. People, and like I said, they're super cool about it. They understand. Yeah, people get sick, and I mean, like I said, I've covered time for people, and people have covered time for me, and we get it. But there's still always that, just like, oh man, I hate doing this to them, especially on a day of the week that we know is going to be busier than normal. And like I said, that's the case where Kelsey Plum needs to think about everybody in Unrivaled and what this does again to all of women's sports, and understand that this isn't just her. So, like I said, if she has something real, she needs to come out and just say it. Say, look, I'm dealing with some heavy shit right now. Obviously, you can't put that in the press release, but just say, look, my mental health's taking a beating. My understanding is she just went through a divorce. I'm going through a divorce. I get it. It's very mentally taxing and quite honestly crushing. But, I still have to go to work. I still, quite honestly, work's kind of become my sanctuary. I get to go there and just, not think about it. Focus on the job, and all that. But just come out and say it. Say, look, I'm I got to go to therapy. I have to go to counseling. All you do is say that. You don't have to be specific. You don't have to tell us all your business. Just say, look, I'm going to therapy. I'm going to counseling. I need to do a little bit of rehabilitation. Working out, trying to get ready for this league made me realize something. An injury that I thought had healed is not quite healed, so I just need that time. You got to come out and say something. This is just basically giving a generic, yeah, I don't want to, yeah, I've decided not to do it to take time for myself. Good luck to everybody involved. Like I said, it leaves too much to the people's imagination. And when you've left behind the legacy that professional women's basketball players have left, especially recently, I mean, that imagination is going to be the, unprofessionalism, which, I mean, like I said, I don't want to go that far. I mean, if you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. She shouldn't be, bound to do it, but, you also have to think of a way to do it that's not going to harm everything. This just whole, yeah, I'm out. Good luck. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good for the whole system. And like I said, when these women go to the bargaining table, I guarantee you everything that's happened in Unrivaled, on this Unrivaled league that's not good, like this, for example, I promise you will be brought up to them. And the WNBA or the NBA, whoever's footing the bill is going to say, look, they invest all this money into you guys. This was your league, run by you, for you. for your needs, and what'd you do? So, that's just kind of my take on that. And like I said, I mean, if you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. But you gotta think of a way out I mean, she may as well just said generic press release saying I'm not going to be an Unrivaled. That's what it should have just said. That's about all it really said. So, like I said, these women they need to look at Caitlin Clark and understand that understand why she is where she's at. You can say, oh, because she's white and she's straight. Well, there's been other white straight ladies in the league. Why is Sabrina Ionescu not moving the needle the way Caitlin Clark is? Why is Paige Beckers, still at the University of Connecticut, UConn, who's supposed to be the next thing, who's supposed to surpass Caitlin supposedly? Why is she playing in front of quarter or 3/4 empty gyms? Juju Watkins, why is she playing in front of 3/4 empty gyms? I know she's not white, but you get the point. That she's not the first one. Why has she captured people's attention and nobody else has? The whiteness and the straightness does not cover it. So she has a level of professionalism to her. She has a level of maturity far beyond her years. I would say that I wish I was that mature at the age of 22, but quite honestly, at the age of 40, I wish I was that mature right now. I'm just going to be honest with you. But like I said, I'm not representing anything other than myself. So,
Looks like your device is not registered. Sign into your Amazon account or create a new one.
well, what do you know? I guess one of these electronic devices heard me and told me my video's going too long. So maybe the WNBA will get it together. They probably won't. They'll probably still get a lot of money though, because why not? NBA players are getting paid like crazy for nothing. WNBA players are getting paid way more than they deserve for nothing. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later, and happy Thanksgiving again.